hung up there for a few years. Thank you.
You used to.
Since there's no sign of our president as yet, and I'm not even sure if he's back in Australia yet. He hasn't contacted me to say he's on his way and will be here in 5 minutes, so maybe we'll just open the meeting and carry on.
You've spoken to him?
No, I haven't.
Oh, yeah.
So, who would like to chair the meeting?
After you.
Oh, Tony will.
Okay, I'll do it all from here then. This is, the meeting is being recorded now. It is being recorded, so you'll be able to see the video tomorrow. It's the meeting 1208, 1208, Monday the 10th of February 2020. So, welcome members. We have apologies from Robert Tonner, Bob Clemson, Jim Noble, Colin and Sandy Pitchfork, Lindy Hall, Rudy Telmax, and Mari Brad. For those of you who don't know, Colin had a holiday home at Lake Conjola, and it got burnt down during the fires. So all he's got left is a few bricks. The next general business, next month's meeting is on the 9th of March, and it's at Noble Numismatics. So Jim will show us the highlights of their next auction. The auction's on late March, so since we're on the 9th of March, I don't know if you'll have catalogues done by then. There's a good chance there won't be, but maybe there will be. There is an open day at Philas House. Philas has 3 open days a year in this room. And as an affiliate club, all the affiliate clubs are invited to the open days. The place is sort of reset up with the shelves at the back put away, and there's dealer tables at the back. There's auction lots that are set up down here, and there's auction lots on tables around there, and there's displays put on in the frames and things. So it's a day of activity, mainly stamp based. There's not that much coins, though. Occasionally you do find some coins. Occasionally you do find some PNCs, and when they're there, because the stampies don't collect PNCs, they're always a good price. Numismatically, normally I end up buying everything numismatic at a good price. But it's a fun day, and Rudy was saying he couldn't make it today, but he's hoping on Saturday that he might pop in on the open day and say hello. So any of you who are slightly interested in stamps, do come in. It's at 10 o'clock, the auction's at 2, and there's some interesting stuff around, and it's a nice social sort of day. So it doesn't cost you anything. So if you're in the city, pop in.
Unless you go. That's different.
That's right. We have our conference at Coffs Harbour on the 6th and 7th of June, with a setup usually on the Friday, so everyone usually gets there on the Friday. Usually we're there by 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and most of us have dinner at the Sanctuary Resort on the Friday night. So far the response has been very good. I was quite worried about this conference because we're all getting older and our numbers are getting less and less. And I know quite a few people were saying, oh, you know, I'm finding the conference a bit difficult. People like George Snellgrove, etc. He made it. We started the meeting before you, so that's fine. So I'm just giving them a resume of the conference.
Oh, okay. Very good.
So people like George Snellgrove were saying that he wasn't going to come to this conference.
Really?
But because it's Captain Cook And the conference medal is the Captain Cook medal, similar to the one we produced 50 years ago. I've more or less persuaded George if he wants that bloody medal, he'd better come to the conference. And if he gives a talk, there's a silver medal as well for the speakers. So, you know, you have a chance of getting 2 medals that most people won't get a chance of getting. So we've had a good result. I don't know if it's because of the medals or not, or maybe people are just saying, you know, let's make an effort for one last time, but I don't know how long the conferences will go on because we are getting old. But currently we have 28 people who said they're coming to the conference, and another 6 family members coming to the dinner. So that's 34 at the dinner, so that's a pretty good number. And 28 at the conference is pretty good. I cater for 25 because they're charging us for the conference room on both Saturday and Sunday. So I'm saying, okay, we get 25 people there, and I divide the cost of the conference room by 25. I'll add it to the $150 there. So that $150 includes your portion of the conference room costs. So it works out quite well. And that takes us, so there's still more room. We can accept people really to the last minute. The only thing is I would like to know sort of at least a week before if you're coming. You can even pay us at the conference because we have to tell Sanctuary Resort the catering numbers. So we have a conference package of the food package that we bought. I have to tell them how many will be there. So that's morning, afternoon tea, Saturday and Sunday. And the lunches both days and dinner on the Saturday night. And with that, we'll hand over to John.
Is there any other general business? Rod's done it all for you. So, yeah, sorry, I'm a bit late, but I just got caught up with trying to find a parking spot. Anyway,
Did your flight arrive okay yesterday? With all that wind and rain and didn't get delayed?
no, we had 2 attempts at landing, which is always a bit of an adventure because you know, when you're sort of thinking that you get to a point of no return, and all of a sudden the thing decides to go up again, it makes a hell of a noise, I tell you now. So, because it has to really sort of get full thrust and go back up, and we went all the way around again to another half an hour. And then we got, because the A380 is so big, you know, a lot of the smaller planes just went straight in, and then we got queued up because we actually landed, and then we had to wait another 15-20 minutes before we could get to the terminal. So it was just, but you know, I knew that there was a bit of a rainstorm happening, so they, you know, there's not much we could do about it. You just had to sit there and wait. And
You made it.
But other than that, no, I didn't have a problem coming in. You know, like, you know, I've sort of worked out how to get through customs without too much fuss. So we did that, and yeah, and out in the rain. So.
Do you want to give us a resume of the WMF, World Money
Well,
Fair?
if there's no other general business,
Yeah.
we got the paper money and polymer money talk. Okay. Well, yeah, look, it's the World Money Fair. It was 49th anniversary of the World Money Fair, 50th anniversary next year, which is going to be somewhat of a big event. This year it was the Japan Mint that was the guest of honour. So the Japan Mint spent all the money in hosting the dinners and cocktail parties and everything else, which I didn't go to anyway. So yeah, that's why the book this year has got Japan all over it. So yeah, it's as simple as that. So something just for that. Thought the World Money Fair, it was big as usual. There was a lot of people there. yeah, both Friday, Saturday, not so many on Sunday, but it was always packed. There was quite a few dealers there. The World Money Fair it's not just a coin fair. One of the halls is dedicated to all the mints around the world, right? So Japan Mint, they had centre stage naturally because they paid to be the guest of honour, and yeah, they had quite a big stall, a big display and everything else, and then they were able to then show all their new coins because they had all this display cases and that around the place. But so did all the other mints. The Royal Australian Mint was there, the Perth Mint was there. They always are. But they always get the same spot. They changed the design of the Royal Australian Mint stand. They took the kangaroo away and they just had the typical blue facade that they've always wanted. So they spent all their time trying to sell their $1 coins and the silver coins as well. The silver proofs that they had there. It was all right there, but like I said, there's a lot of different things, and this is and I think I mentioned it to you last year. This what they call the World Money Fair passport. Right now, this thing is designed to have people go and have a look at the displays in all the different mints. That's what it's designed for, but no one ever does. Like they get the passport, they run over to the different stall, get the stamp and get the coin. So they, as well as the what you have to do with this thing is you get you get a low denomination coin from if you go to their display, you get a low denomination coin and then they stamp your book, just typical of a passport. So it sort of it gets you to go around to all the different displays so that they can see that they get value for money. But like I put a couple of these together, but there were some people that were walking around with suitcases with 50 or 60 of these things because they would then take them to their friends and sell them and stuff like that. But it if you saw that happening, you just go to another mint and sort of get away from getting behind this particular person. But you also have to go and find them. But this is what this thing's all about. It actually tells you a little bit about the different mint anyway, right? So, and it's in English as well. So in German and in English. But just as a reference, that's the main hall there, right? And naturally, you'll probably find that the Japan Mint was sitting just there because that was where the main doors are. And then all the other mints would be around from there. So you have to go and find them. And they've got a list of them all here. So you just cross-reference it. You just go down to the mint, and the person at their stall, they give you the coin and they stamp the book. So that's how it works.
Is it the same stamp every day? Do you know? They don't. They don't have different stamps on different days.
Yeah, no. The stamp is unique to
the
that
fair.
country.
Yeah.
Like the Australian Mint. It's a stamped as Royal Australian Mint. So therefore, that doesn't change.
It doesn't have a date on it.
Sorry?
What coin?
No
did-
date.
No
What
date.
coin
No.
did the Australian Mint give?
5 cent.
Well, coin, 5 cent coin, which is the lowest denomination that we have. And surprise, surprise, it's a 2020 JC,
Jody Clark.
Jody Clark effigy. So, they didn't sort of sneak in a last year's model in there. So, but yeah, it works out. There were a couple of mints there that sort of weren't, even though they were in the book, they weren't that impressed with it. That they like the American stand, they didn't bother stamping it. They just put a sticker on your book, right? Because they reckon it was quicker and easier. But then instead of them putting the coin in the book, they give it to you. and then you've got to stand there and try and put it in, right? Because it's not too bad with some of the different countries. They always have a young girl standing there, and you know, it's like a mindless sort of task for them to do for 3 days, just putting a coin in these pages. But you know, with their fingernails, they can get the page open, the plastic sleeve open quite easily, and they put the coin in. But when you get a big burly black African American sitting there with big fingers, and he's just, you know, he puts a sticker on and that's it. You could do the rest yourself. And one of the things that was surprising this year, which was quite unusual, and maybe it's because people are getting tired of these books, but when you went to the Royal Australian Mint stand, you got your 5-cent coin for the Royal Australian Mint, but you also got a coin from Solomon Islands, a coin from Samoa, a coin from Tonga, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there was another one from Vanuatu. The reason for this was that the Royal Australian Mint actually makes all those coins for those countries. See, and I've got a feeling that there was, even though there was quite a few mints there, not all of them were participating. You know, and so to make up the page, and as you can see, you know, the last page is -3, you know, 3 coins, because just there was nobody else to fill the page. And so the Royal Australian Mint, the poor girl that was putting the stuff in these books, she had to do 5 coins. So you go there with your book, and she'd have to put them in. But she had help from another person who would just do the stamping. And they had 5 stamps there, and then stamps.
So they were representing those other countries,
Yeah.
because they made the coins for them, I guess.
They made the coins, yeah. So they were representing those Pacific Islands. So yeah, that's basically what the passport's all about. But as I said, it was all about trying to get people into that main hall to go and view all the new coins. They changed the setup a little bit, because at one stage that main hall also had the manufacturers there. The manufacturers being the people that have got the big machinery, the people that make the blanks, people that do all the engraving and everything else. They've been put into a different hall now to so that the people that are serious about wanting to go and see those machines would go to that special hall, rather than all the tire kickers running around trying to steal their lollies and pens and everything else that they always have them out there, but people just take them and walk past. So, but yeah, this is the book on the whole thing. You know, I was there with the Worldwide Bimetallic Collectors Club, and there were quite a few new bimetal coins. Swiss Mint had this particular one. No, that wasn't Swiss Mint, that's the German Mint. But what they had is they've got a series going on at the moment. One of the coins that they had was a coin for Roger Federer. Yes, but that's a Swiss coin. It's not a bimetal. An interesting little thing that I picked up on in this book was the little article that our managing director of the Royal Australian Mint put in here. Seeing we're in general business. Ross McDermott, who's the main bloke down at the Royal Australian Mint, he sort of mentioned to me, I think early last year, that his contract was finishing, and you know, he was going to move on. Now, nothing has ever been said about it, but when I saw a little article in this book, it looks like he's moving on, and it hasn't been sort of announced yet, but he's moving on to becoming a... I'll find it in a second. It's got to be here somewhere. Anyway, he's taking up a new role to be a spokesperson for all the mints worldwide. And so I thought, oh, well, maybe he's moving on, but he's staying within the sort of industry, because he's been around for quite a few years now down at the Royal Australian Mint. So yeah. I think I found it. I'm sure it's the front of the book. On the Saturday, I went to the what they call the Coin of the Year Awards, and that was well, it always is. It's always a good sort of thing, because not everybody gets to go to it, and there's they have the award for the best coin, the best design, the best
Bimetallic.
the best, all that sort of stuff. So
Who actually votes?
there is a judging panel of about 20 people worldwide, and they all correspond amongst themselves, and they work out who's whoever votes for whoever gets the most votes.
Because Austria got
three
they got
awards.
the best coin and the best bimetallic.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were different coins. But the Slovenian mint, they actually won the best coin of the year, the Coin of the Year award, and it was quite unusual. It was a six-sided coin, but it looked like a beehive. So some of the, how the beehives sort of six-sided things, and where the honey goes in, they actually had one side of the coin sort of offset with little six-sided sort of beehive type, what would you call it?
Cells. Yeah.
Yeah, like it, like it looked like a beehive. But then on the other side, the ones that went out that way, the other ones went out that way, sort of thing. And I thought to myself, how would they possibly circulate this coin? But look, generally they're not circulating. They're a sort of a collector.
A premium coin.
Yeah, collector-only coin that's probably worth a mint. It's worth a lot of money. Here it is. Here, Ross McDermott. He's put himself down to he's the general secretary of the mint directors. Yeah, so all the directors around the world, he's going to run that sort of. He's going to run the group.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that he's probably going to end up sort of doing that sort of stuff rather than just bowing out after his contract finishes. So anyway, that's a bit about the World Money Fair. I didn't bring the what's the name, the Coin of the Year award, but I'll just see if I can find a picture of it. Probably not, because they even though it's funny, because even though they don't tell all the mints whether they won a prize or not, only the mints that basically get the prize show up for the award at the awards presentation. Like except for the Australian Mint, they won an award, but then no one showed up. So there was one guy there that was actually talking, that there was part of a design team for the Royal Australian Mint some years ago, and he was the guy that Martin, a friend of ours, Martin, he talked him into giving us a tour through the mint.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember his name now, but he was there, and he said, "Oh look, if Ross McDermott's not there, I'll take the award for him," and so he did that. Perth Mint got an award as well, but they didn't show up. So the Australian presentation was pretty cool. So, but the other guys were there. I got to meet the actual founder of the World Money Fair, Albert Beck. I get to talk to him as well when I go to the Coin of the Year Awards. He's probably in his 80s now, and he's still going strong, and he's quite happy. He's looking after the show.
He used to run it in Switzerland.
Yeah. So, that's about it. Look, this book's full of coin dealers. lots of coin dealers, you know, but they all seem to, well, I won't say they all seem to have the same sort of stock, but you know, there's always something different at different tables. But the tables themselves, you know, they're not cheap to have over the 3-day period, so they tend to sort of have half tables, and then they have their mates there as well with their stock and everything else. But quite a few dealers, you know, if you go there looking for, you know, improve on your collection, you've really got to go there for the 3 days. You know, because there's that many dealers there that if you go through their stock, you've got to have a lot of time on your hands, because it does, you know, there's a lot of them there. Yeah. All in all, I think there was probably about 6 different halls of dealers. You know, so yeah, they were scattered all over the place. So you know, you would be able to sort of see them. It's not just one big hall. You go down a corridor, you go downstairs, and you go across to there, or you go across to there, and there's halls all over the place. Yeah, like it's part of a big hotel conference centre, but there's all different rooms everywhere. And you know, so yeah, you walk through it. You know, if you just glance at their tables, you generally get an idea as to what they're trying to sell. Some of them had nothing but, you know, silver-proof coins. So, you know, but if that's what some people want, that's, you know, that's what they sell. So there were a few banknote dealers there as well. Even though you know, over in Europe they have a big fair for banknotes only. They you know, they still have they still have a few banknote people at the World Money Fair. So that was that. They had their usual their machines there to yeah, produce a euro currency. Now one of the this thing, they had it there last year as well, but it was a bit of a joke. But you put your €2 coin in and you get a little banknote, but it was €0. And so it cost you €2 for a bit of paper. Yeah. But apparently the paper is yeah, of similar grade to the normal euro banknotes. But yeah, they were all over the place and people were buying them. So, yeah. It was all about sort of, you know, having enough stock for a lot of people to sort of spend their money. So I personally bought quite a bit of stuff, some from my own collection, some for other people. so yeah, but I haven't sorted them all out yet, so I haven't had a chance to. So, but bringing them back wasn't a problem. So you know, just wanted to keep your weight in the right way. Have a look at the book. These are quite interesting, I think so, and yeah, they're just an example of what you can get when you go to the World Money Fair. All right. So next year it's 50th anniversary. So hopefully it's going to be a big event. So, all right. The topic of the night: paper and polymer money. So I think we've got 13 people here that we should be able to stretch it out for quite a while, because everybody's got paper polymer notes in their wallet or their pocket they can talk about. But anyway, look, you know, we'll start the night with the topic of paper and polymer money. So I personally bought a few banknotes there at the World Money Fair. So I've got recent acquisitions as well. If you've also got recent acquisitions, we'll accept those as well in tonight's topic. So who wants to start?
Pat?
Pat, you got paper and polymer? No, here.
I've had this book for a little while, Note Printing in Australia. It goes through the introduction and the old type of printing. It goes through the creating of currency notes, how they develop it. That is one of their main avenues down there where they do all their work. They do the substrate and ink printing there, how they go about it. It's a printing offset colour, how they go do that. That's their main hall where they do their printing, indigo and line work printing and how they go about it, and printing numbers, how they do print the numbers on the notes, and the examination of the notes. Oh, sorry, my catching everyone. The guillotining of them and the finishing packaging. So you can have a look through it. I can't remember when I got it, but it's a fair while ago, and that gives you an indication on the $5 note, the Australian ones, what's in the garden, which indicates all how they can tell a forgery or anything like that. Every one of those is indicated there and what they are. So if you want to have a look through that, that's all right. And that's just on the $10 note from the 1988 was the notes there. I just brought a couple of those in. The reason I brought these notes in was that's the front and the back of the notes.
Show the camera, would you?
Eh?
Show it to the camera here.
Oh,
No, not the camera.
Camera.
eh? Oh, look at the
The
camera.
camera, so,
It's all right.
so that we can
Yeah.
get it for
Now,
the video.
the reason I brought these ones in, these the people that were involved in the making of the notes they were given a special one for being involved with the development and everything like that of the note, and they were given a package of 2 notes, consecutive notes, with the AA, the first prefix, and the OOO on the note. And these happen to be, this is a trio of that there. It's AA, and the last is 9, 90, 91 and 92. So I'll just put them round the other way here, just so you can see them on the notes. So I'll leave them there, you can have a look at them. And the other one, they put out in 1992, the first notes. This one's AA 2100, and this will be the final, from the final $5 paper printing, and it's a QNC 462325. So that I just put a sample of these. I've got nearly the whole set of the ones, and these came through the post office. The post office had the idea of putting those through, so I just bought just a couple of them there. It was too heavy to bring the one I've got about that thick with them in there. This one is the 13th anniversary. The premium ones, they had premium and they had a deluxe. They're $5 notes from 1967 to 1997. So that's the $5. They're all $5 notes from each,
period.
from 67, 70, 87 and 97. And the other one is, I've just taken them out, just the different ones. This one is a £100 note. It would be from the first £100 polymer printing note. Now that'll be an AA 96, and then it'll have a couple of noughts on it. So you can have a look at that, and you'll find the numbers are on the back of the note, so they don't. I can shift it round and turn it round for you, but that's on the $100 note. So there's just a few of what I've had there, so I'll put them on the...
Put them on the table.
Yeah, you can take them there. Right, thank you.
John?
Okay. I brought these Russian notes. For those that aren't aware, you know how the Russians used to have two sorts of money, foreign exchange certificates and rubles. Rubles were for the hoi polloi. Foreign exchange certificates were for those that were allowed to actually travel outside of Russia. In the 1930s, they set up a similar sort of two levels of money. What they found was that the rubles were depreciating in value so much that they were no use for foreign exchange. When they were trying to buy stuff from overseas, people didn't want to accept, foreign countries didn't want to accept rubles. So they went back to an old Russian coin called, a pre-revolutionary coin called the chervonets, which is a gold coin, and they produced banknotes. And these banknotes were for foreign exchange. Theoretically, if you had one of these notes, you could take it to one of the local banks and change it for the value in gold. They were backed by gold reserves and by hard currency reserves. I don't know if anybody actually had the gall to go and collect the gold value of one of these things. There's a lot of things you're allowed to do in Russia if you didn't try and do them. So these ones here aren't actually, I have got genuine notes as well, but these particular ones are extremely hard to find. And Goznak, the Russian note printing people, put out a series of, back about 10 or 20 years ago, a series of reproductions of the notes. There's a 1 and a 3. And for those that can read Russian, you can see that the first one ends with an E and then that upside down U looking thing, which is ets. So it's a chervonets. So singular is chervonets. The one underneath, it's got that upside down U again at the bottom, and then it's got an A. So the plural seems like it's chervonsa, but it's not. Chervonsa is if there's 2, 3 or 4. If there's more than 4, if there's 5 or more, there's these ones. There's a 5 and a 10. And the last two letters there are E and V. So it's chervonsev. So where we have singular and plural, they've actually got 3 versions of a noun. Singular, more than 5, and 2, 3 or 4. So it's a different way of thinking. So I don't know if that applies to all to all Russian nouns, but it certainly applies here. There's a 25, and what was this one? This was a 5 again too. This happened to come with the notes when they were sent to me, so that just happens to be there with them. And they did come, where is it? They did come with a sheet that told you exactly what they were and explained it all in full in Russian, which wasn't that bad because there was a Ukrainian guy at the uni at the TAFE a couple of years ago, and he did a translation for them.
Michael.
So I know what it says.
Michael, whatever his name was. Was the Ukrainian guy Michael something or other?
No, this was a guy at TAFE. It was a student. I've also got something that isn't seen very often. I haven't got these as notes. All I've got is, this was the illustration in the Nobel's catalogue many years ago. When the Russians moved into the northern part of China and Manchuria after the Second World War, they produced banknotes for that area. And there was a set of 4, and there was a beautiful beautiful condition set of 4 came on sale in 2010, and the estimate was $120. And I remember the auctioneer was trying to get everybody to bid for them. Nobody would bid for them. And I think finally the opening bid was $60. And at that point, everybody seemed to, as soon as everybody was the same as me, waiting to see if they could get them cheap after the auction. When they realised these things were going to be sold, everybody started bidding, and it's the only time I've ever seen that auctioneer lose control of the auction. He had no idea whose hand was up next. He just started calling out numbers, and as their hands dropped, he regained control, including mine. But the problem was that I would have got, if I'd known they were going to sell for only $180, I would have bought them, because they were worth that. There was another set came up about 2 auctions later, I think it was, not as good. And that's the only times I've seen them for sale. They're not that common. And there was a Chinese woman I was working with, and I got these pictures of them. She did me translations of what they actually say. And then finally, well, not finally yet, the reverse of that, when the Japanese were planning to advance into Russia, they'd produced the Japanese invasion money stuff. Well, this is what they produced for Russia. This is something that appeared in CAB, and this is what they produced for Russia. Turns out they didn't have much use for it because they didn't conquer any part of Russia. The Russians conquered them. And the last thing, this was something in a magazine called Dollars and Cents. And what it is, it's an article in 2000, and basically there's a little section there called a leaky roof. And currency talks about currency speculation is rampant worldwide. In Russia, however, the concept of buying and selling money has taken on a new meaning. The ruble was so hopelessly devalued, people were taking it up and shredding the banknotes to make roofing material. So there's a larger version of the article there. That one. So thank you.
Rodney, I'll have to get away. There's no trains running, buses.
Okay.
My first one's a Russian one, somewhat different to John's there. It's for not being able to speak Russian, of course. It's a net genka pokken or something. There's a common misspelling of the Russian phrase, again in Russian, so I don't know what you're supposed to make of that, which translates to banknote of Russia.
Which one's that? That's that one.
That's that one. This phrase, pronounced as Bilet Bankov Rossi, is found on the Russian ruble. $1 is worth about 30 rubles, €1 is worth about 40 rubles. This 10 ponkanota, whatever, however you say it, is about €3. It is a currency of the Russian Federation, being 2 partially recognised republics of Abkhazia and South Ossetia, and the 2 unrecognised republics of Donetsk and Luhansk. So I don't know how they have it partially recognised and are not unrecognised and all the rest of it, but so they must exist. The next one is a Bulgarian 25 leva, that's LEVA, it's produced in 1951. Lev translates to lion, and it is divided into 100 stotinki, and the front shows a man, I don't know, I presume he'll be a president at some stage or whatever they have there, and the back shows a crew laying railway tracks. I could find very little on it since I went on to friend Google, it sort of had virtually nothing, and started talking about Thrace, which is just a little wedge in between Bulgaria and Greece, but that's about all it said. There's sort of no information, or I couldn't find any information at all to speak of. The next one is a Bank of France, or Banque de France. It's a 20 franc note issued from 1942 until 1950. It's referred to as the fisherman's note, which you can see there. It's sort of self-explanatory. The front shows a Breton fisherman hauling in a fish net, and the back shows 2 women and a baby plus a Breton cavalry statue. Then the next one is a Vanuatu 100 Vatu. Has no subdivisions, it's just purely, that's it, you can't break it up. The note was replaced in 1988 by a 100 Vatu coin. The front shows what I can only figure out to be a god of some sort, and the back shows cattle grazing in a coconut plantation. Then we move on to the Vietnam 200 dong, printed in 1988, and it's in use from 1978. The front shows Ho Chi Minh. The back has workers, or I'm calling it a loom, that's something I can make out of it. And that 2,000 dong is worth about 10 cents. So if you've got a pocket full of them, you think you're a multi-millionaire, you've really got nothing. Then we move on to Botswana. It's a 10 puller. Puller is divided into 100 thebi. Puller means rain in Switzerland, whatever the local language is. It was first used in 1976. Couldn't find a date on the note. The front, I'm assuming, is showing the current president, and the back shows the Parliament building known as Gabon. Then we move on to a Government of Ceylon 5 cent from 1942. It's single-sided. It shows a 2 cent and 3 cent stamp, and it could only be used to pay up to 5 rupees. Now, I'm not sure what the value of the rupee is as against the cent. Then we move on to British North Borneo Company from 1936, $1. It was during occupation by Japan. $1 equaled 1 yen, which was half of the pre-war value. Then we move on to Government of Hong Kong. Now, Rod might be able to help me out here a bit. There's 2 versions of a 1 cent note. The smaller one was first released on the 30th of May 1941. And the larger note, there's been 5 issues, but they've all had the Queen Elizabeth on them. They've been in issue since 1945. This one, as far as I could figure out by the signature, it was the 4th issue. And again, those notes can only be used to pay up to an amount of $1. So if you're going to pay $1, you've got 100 of them in your pocket.
They're actually only used for utility bills.
Yeah.
So when you pay your gas or electricity bill, they take it to the nearest 1 cent.
Yeah.
And if you paid in cash, you'd get one of those back, 2 cents back or whatever. They're the only people who ever use those 1 cent.
The next one might be a little bit cheeky. It's one of our own, from Matthew Boulton from bicentenary from 1809 to 2009. Boulton was born in 1728 and he died in 1809. He was a famous industrialist whose Soho workshops was the largest factory in the world at the time. He worked with James Watt to manufacture steam engines. So we've got our own little impression of a dollar note on there. And the only polymer that I could find, although I thought I had a couple of others, was the Bank of Papua New Guinea. It's a 2 kina note. It was a special issue for the 9th Pacific Games in 1991. The front and back both show numerous symbols. There's quite mostly the bird of paradise and their various drums and that type of thing.
The prefix actually is also SPG for South Pacific Games.
South Pacific Games, and then and this one might be just a little bit of a slip-in one too. It's neither paper or polymer, but it's pure gold. So it says from Easter Island. It's a 500 Rongo note issued in 2011. Easter Island is the most remote inhabited island and is considered part of Chile. So I think it was just a bit of a money raising idea, I think, of putting it out in gold plating. It's quite a sensational looking note, I think, myself. That's mine.
You got something, Grant?
You seen these?
We need that paper. Thanks. Pass. Pass.
Yeah, I have.
Okay,
I
yeah.
bought some.
Tony,
Bought some from the last auction here.
the last option.
I don't know a lot about these Russian things. I started looking, getting some research done. Rod can probably answer all my questions.
They're not mine, so I
Aren't
can't.
they? Oh, there you go.
And when you see Paul Neumann next, you can ask him.
Russian East Siberia, 100 rubles. Another Russian East Siberia. The reason I was interested in this is where my son-in-law comes from. He actually comes from Siberia, and I haven't seen him yet, so I was going to show him these and see if he can translate a few things for me. This is also the Russian provincial government, General Kolak. Now, the research I did find on this is the government, is it the Bolsheviks, were in power around 1918,
Yeah.
and they got ousted by this provincial government, and it was just a group of like-minded people became the government only for a short period, from 1918 to 1922, I think it was, and then they got overtaken by the next power.
Yeah, Bolsheviks. They got back into power.
Yeah, right, okay. So that's the reason I was interested in those, is it's from the region, from my son-in-laws. And these two here are from that same era, Russian Siberia provincial government. You brought that one, which is, I've already got that same 10 ruble one. These are the recent Russian for the World Cup soccer. So they're 2019. Both the same. I won't worry about the dollars. So they're my Russian contribution.
Thanks, Ian.
I think that's interesting how many exhibitors that had Russian stuff tonight, isn't it? Hey,
It's a bit big on
a
Russia,
bit of a
mate.
takeover?
That's why it's so fast. It's Russian. Russian away.
Rod, you got any?
Yes. Sorry, I don't have any Russia.
No Russia?
I started collecting polymers many years ago when Australia started producing polymers for other nations. And one of the first ones that we produced, which is not legal tender, by the way, was for Kuwait. So it's the Central Bank of Kuwait.
What would it be used for if it's not legal tender?
Yeah. It's a polymer that was put out, but it says on there, not legal tender, so it's just advertising money, I guess. And then a few years later, they put a second one out, slightly different design. Central Bank of Kuwait.
They probably thought it was funny money.
Yeah, I think it probably was. It was oil money anyway. We've already seen this two kina note. It was the first 2 kina that Papua New Guinea put out in polymer, and it was put out for the South Pacific Games. So they had the bird of paradise, and they had the logo for the South Pacific Games there, and the SPG there, and there was a specimen put out as well. I like to collect by signatures. So the next one that came out was for the 20th anniversary, and again you see the special 20th anniversary logo, and it's PNG 20 down in the sort of prefix on that side. So that was the 20th anniversary. If you're doing well with 20 anniversaries, 25th anniversary will be even better. So the next one was for the 2 kina for the 25th anniversary. I think I've got these in the wrong sequence somehow. But then they went on to a newer design. So no, I've got it in the wrong sequence. Papua New Guinea has gone all into polymers. So those other ones were for specials. These were just the standard 2 kina polymers. And there are different signatures. Those 2 signatures are the same, but those 2 on that side is the different governor of their Reserve Bank. They then went on to a new design with I think it's the Parliament building, I'm not sure, on the 2 kina. Again, I have 2 different ones because there's different signatures on them. And the last 2 from Papua New Guinea was again for the 35th anniversary, I think it is. And that was the one on the new Parliament building. And then with the BX one down here, it was for a special occasion. I'm not sure what it was, with the logo down there. These were countries that issued polymers quite early on. And one of the first ones to issue it was Samoa. Samoa put out this 2 thala note, and there were quite a bunch of different colours. Every time they printed them, they could never get the same colour the same. So as you look at it from the 2 to that 2, you can see it's a sort of more purple than that one. This one has a lot more yellow coming in from the brown up there. And then you go down to, you can't see that well on the screen, but it's almost an orange colour down there. So the shades are all different. So
Have you got any idea where they were printed?
they're printed at no printing here.
Is that meant to be, or is it just...
I don't think so. I think somehow or other, I don't know if if note printing stuffed it up. I don't think they did. It was probably what they told them to print, so they did it. Or it could be just the conditions over there, maybe change the colour of the print, you know. One of the other early countries to issue a note was Singapore. So they issued a $50 note quite early on. First Parliament, 1965. So it's celebrating a 50th anniversary or something of the first Parliament in 65. Another country that issued the banknotes was Thailand, and Thailand put out this 500 baht note for the 60th anniversary of King Bhumibol. they put them out in a special pack, and the pack was really very, very attractive because it was all done in Thai silk. So it was Thai silk outside and the note was inside. So I managed to get a few, and then we discovered that there were, again, different signatures. You look at the two signatures up there and said, okay, and then lo and behold, the signatures are different. So saying, okay, how many different signature combinations are there? So then one starts searching packs and things to see what signature combinations. And there were quite a few different signature combinations. So all these four notes have different signature combinations. Actually, the two top ones have the same, but the other ones are slightly different. So it was always nice to get sort of varieties, but I don't know how common or uncommon they are.
What period of time are they being printed?
These ones, these were probably printed 15 years ago.
And what number of years would they have been printed, was this?
Polymers.
Yeah, that particular one.
No, well, this one was
Does
only
that make
printed
just like a wide different-
over a period of 6 months, 12 months or so for his 60th anniversary. So it was a special one.
Right.
And but you know, I don't know if there was a change in the people
There's a few
who were the
changes in a
governor
short
and
space of time,
etc. Yeah.
That's
So I was thinking,
predicted of as well.
okay, that's quite nice. When I saw different signatures, I made sure I got them. And that's my contribution. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Robert.
Solomon Islands won the note of the year about 9 years ago on
Right.
one of their notes there. They were the note of the year.
I mean, I have another 300-400 polymer notes, but I didn't bother to bring them in. You know, people like Romania had a really good one for the what was it, the sun, where they had an eclipse in Romania, and we produced polymer notes for them for Romania 20 years ago or so for that eclipse, and then after that all the other Romanian notes became polymer. You know, no printed all these high value Romanian notes. You know, it's 10 million or whatever it is, but it's worth nothing.
How many countries do we still produce notes for, do you know?
A lot of them produce it themselves now. We've given them the technology and we've subcontracted it out. So countries like, well, New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we produce the New Zealand notes, but Canada produces polymer notes under, you know, they bought the rights. Mexico produces them. So there's lots of countries that are producing polymers, and you know, no doubt the UK will eventually get onto polymer as well.
The US,
Yeah, but the polymer, if you look at the polymer notes, you can see a difference. You know, because I got some Canadian polymer notes of Gary, and yeah, they just don't look the same as the ones we've got. You know, so yeah, they've obviously got some sort of technology that they are slightly different to what we use.
Yeah. De La Rue is producing polymer notes now too, their own variety of polymer. So there's quite a few other countries and
That's
other
right.
people doing it.
Yeah, because the conference, the IBNS conference, pointed that out too.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. So, oh, okay. Well, I'll finish off tonight by showing my contribution. Before I do that, one of the things that I did buy at the World Money Fair was a book, The Coins of the Dutch Overseas Territories. It's 1601 to 1948. And yeah, I just looked at the book and I thought, oh, that might be interesting, because I do have a couple of Dutch East Indies coins that I find that I can never work out what date they were or anything like that. So I bought the book, but I haven't had a chance to look at my coins and cross-reference them to the book. They do have images of the coins, but not every entry in the book has got an image, which is a bit of a problem. But anyway, it's close enough, and yeah, it's probably a bit of a reference tool as I start going through to the Dutch East Indies coins that I have. So but yeah, it's quite a nice. I think it's going to be worthwhile. When I bought it, so I bought it and brought it home. So, but yeah, so that's that one. As you probably know, I collect
Iceland.
Iceland. Now, Rod likes to collect by signatures, well, so do I. So we have some sort of similarities here, but Rod collects the signatures going forward. You want to try doing it going backwards.
I tried doing it going backwards, but I can't afford it.
It's very, very hard. Right. Without some sort of reference tool, like a little booklet that is put out by an American chap. What do they call themselves? The banknote book. Because the guy that produced this book,
Owen.
Owen, yeah. He, I think he got fed up with the official Krauss book that everybody knows, simply because there was so many errors in that book.
Standard catalogue of world money.
Yeah, there's always errors in it, and people get frustrated with it, and it's never updated properly and everything else. This guy, he's made it his life mission to have a decent catalogue. And what you do with him is that you don't have to buy the whole book if you don't want to, because like those books, well, the Krause books are probably worth about $150, $160 when you buy them. His book, if you want to buy the whole lot of them, yeah, it's going to cost you that. But you can buy individual, as he's finished a particular country, he lets you buy the individual part of that book. And when he got to the point where he just about got the Iceland book right, I bought it, and I used that as a cross-reference, because before that I used to use this thing, but it's pretty much largely in Icelandic language, and you have a great time trying to decipher their language. So, but they've got nice pictures as well, so you can sort of go by the pictures, and then you start looking at the different signatures. But Owen's done a very good job in his little banknote book. You buy these things by subscription. So, this thing here is a few years old now, but I think I paid $10 or $15 for it. But he hasn't updated anything in this book for the past few years, so therefore I haven't subscribed to it. But when he puts a major update in the Icelandic section, well then I'll pay for a 12-month subscription, and I'll get the latest one. But
did you actually print it yourself, or did he print it?
No. But see, he goes a little bit further in this situation, to stop people from not plagiarising, but copying the book and giving it to their mates and everything else. Every page has got my name on it, so like if somebody else gets hold of it, somebody will come along and say, "I know where you got that book from," because it's my subscription. Right, so, but it's a good tool for me, because like getting signatures, that's an example of some of the signatures that I'm chasing in Icelandic banknotes, and you've got to have the right combinations. Now, a few years ago, when I was up in Iceland, I spoke to the curator of their museum, and he said, "Look, the reason why things change so regularly is because the governor of the central bank, a lot of times they will hand sign the banknotes, because they don't produce that many. So that so the governor will say, okay, how much money do we need for the next week? And his accounting people will say, well, we need X amount of this, and this. So he'll go home and sign them. So the signatures.
They'll have lots of varieties of signatures, won't they?
Yeah, the signatures tend to vary a lot.
Yeah, tell them me, especially the last one to the first one.
Yeah, especially after dinner and a few pots too.
You'd never get a second.
But as I said, it's very difficult to get Icelandic banknotes with certain signatures. But plus the fact that I want them in uncirculated condition as well. So it becomes very difficult. But I managed to find about 6 of them at the World Money Fair, and I was really happy. because this particular signature combination I just did not have. All the other banknote dealers, they don't like buying Icelandic banknotes because they don't know what I've got and they don't want to get stuck with them. So, the likes of Trevor Wilkins, for instance, he'd love to sell me stuff because his price is always on a premium, but he won't bring them in for me because of the fact that he doesn't know what I've got.
Why don't you tell him?
Why don't you tell it, yeah?
Well, I can tell him what I do need because I've got most of them now, and it's got to the stage where there's only a few more that I need. So, this is a 100 kroner. This was first issued in 1928. They demonetised it around about 1957. This one. So, and again, in that sort of grade, it's a really good find. Signature combination, like going by the book, the signature combinations you go from 1 to 35. So you just match them up, by the book. So whenever I go to any coin fairs, I always take my book with me because you can never remember what signature combination you have. But that's a good example. That's a beautiful one, that one. The thing about the Icelandic banknotes is they tend to demonetise them straight, quite regularly. These things here, like I said, that was 1928, and what they said in the book here is that it got demonetised around about 1972. Yeah. So they no longer have those ones. The different denominations, that one's 100 kroner. This one here is another one again 100 kroners. Oh, sorry, it's out of sequence. Oh. This 50 kroner, that one's got the same signatures as the 100 kroner, but I just didn't have those ones, so I just had to have them. So. But going by the book, you can generally tell what years they go by because you go from the early ones, and there's a certain set of different signatures, and then the styling of the banknotes are different from the early, like in the 20s to the 30s, the 50s. They tend to change them bit by bit, and the different styles. So once we finish with these ones, we then go on to a different style. So, and they go narrower and longer and everything else. So, but the combinations are all there. They've actually sort of got to the stage now where they only have one signature on their banknotes now, so it's getting a bit easier. But that's going forward. I can quite easily get those banknotes. You can go to a money changer over in Europe and you can get these brand new banknotes with the latest signature on them. So,
His job, isn't he, one of them?
Yeah, but they're probably printed now instead of hand signed.
This is a 500 kroner note that I got. But then they changed, even though the person on the note and the styling is the same as the later one, but you can see the style on this one.
He's signing banknotes.
Eh? Signing banknotes, yeah. That particular one has sort of got a border around it, where these ones don't have borders. They modernised it by taking the border away. So that's another one. And again, you can see that this one here has just got the one signature. So that's the latest 500 kroner note. When they had the issue with the Iceland going broke in 2008, when everybody else was going, like in the financial crisis, they issued a 10,000 kroner note, and so this is the highest denomination that they have now. So,
What's it worth in real money?
the exchange rate's 10,000 kroner is about $170 Australian. So, and that's as far as we've gone with the signatures so far. But as you can see by this book, I've got quite a few of them. But going back to the really early ones, there's so many that I'm still yet to find. But eventually I'll keep looking, and eventually I'll find them. But that's a nice note. But it's it's the current one, and that's what they use over there. All right. That's all we've got tonight.
John, the guy that's sort of producing these, competing with Krause, has he got through all the countries that Krause is?
He's been doing it year by year by year, adding countries.
Yeah.
He's been produced. This is called the BNB, the banknote book,
Right.
by Owen Linzmeyer in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And he started producing it because the Krause catalogue, the Pick catalogue, was just so out of date and had so much wrong information and was so hard to follow. So he started his own, and because he's online and he's a member of the IBNS, anybody who wants it now, like John wants it for that, other collectors collect it, or you don't have to buy each of the chapters. You can buy the whole lot in there. I supplied him with some images for East Africa. I had a collection of East African notes, and he gave me a year's subscription for using my photos, which was fine. I never bothered to renew it after that because I didn't collect them anymore, so that was fine. And I know it's only, $25 or so, but unless you need it, why bother?
I just think it was a big task to be able to tackle that. I just wondered, has he got through all the countries?
No, there's still
got a lot to go.
there's still probably 30, 40 countries that he's still working on.
Oh, right.
Because as you can see by there that he's gone into really good detail, and with the detail that he's got, just about everyone uses the BNB now. It's the banknote book, Banknote book says this, and everyone believes it because he's very thorough.
I feel like calling it the NBN.
But
He hasn't got everything. I tell you, he hasn't got Greece. There's a lot of countries where there's a lot of issues, but his problem is he's a one-man band.
Yeah.
He's not a corporation, and I think he hasn't worked out yet. No man can ever be an organisation. He needs to hire people.
But then it costs money, so...
But that costs money. But the thing is, if you want to replace Krause, which is a good thing to do, you're not going to do it as a one-man band.
When I first asked him,
why I was asking the question. I thought the big task.
I don't know who's got actually contributing and things like that. I don't know, but Trevor Wilkins said and Trevor would know, that he's basically a one-man band.
Yeah.
Which means if he gets sick, the whole thing will fall apart.
When he first started, I kept asking him about when are you going to do Iceland, and his reaction every time I said anything was, I could really do with a bit of help. Send me images of what you've got. Do this and do that.
And I'll produce it, yeah.
Yeah, and then he'll produce it. So like you were saying, he probably does. He does rely on a lot of input from a lot of people, but it's all unpaid. So yeah, he might be a one-man band, but I think he's got a couple of people working with him now because he goes in. When you want the whole book, for your subscription, I think another company produces that for him. So.
He has produced a book, a hard copy book. I haven't got it. I've got a couple of chapters, but I haven't subscribed for a while. The other thing is that he tries to keep up to date with all the current prices. Well, that's a huge job.
Yeah, you get an email from him. I get an email from him every Saturday.
Yeah.
Right.
He's updated this book, or this one's now available.
Yeah. So what I do is I open up the email. has he updated Iceland? No, closed. So that's what happens. But as soon as he updates the Icelandic section, I'll subscribe again and get the updated book. But I haven't had to do it just yet, so that's why.
Well, I know what you do first thing on Saturday morning now. Check on the internet what's happening with Iceland.
I take my medication and have my breakfast.
Of course.
Okay, thank you all for coming. We'll meet again here next month.
No, next month is at
It's
Nobles,
Nobles, isn't it? Okay. So that's what you get for coming late.
9th of March.
Not too much.
Usually, if it's the 10th of Feb, it's the 10th of March, but there's 29 days in February this year, so it's the 9th of March.
Yes.
All right, so coffee and tea, and thank you all for coming.
And also,
Yeah, that one is.
this year,
That one.
there's 5 Saturdays in February. Unusual.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's the provisional government one.
Don't know how often there's 5 Saturdays in February, but
Some information for you. I saw another coin stretching machine. I saw another coin stretching machine at Bridge Climb for the Sydney Harbour Bridge up in Cumberland Street. It's a different looking machine.
You'll have to turn that.
I used to turn the handle, but the internals look a little different.
That's interesting.
Do you know where Cumberland
you get some
Street?
rain?
You
Did
do
you
know where
get
the
rain
entrance
up
is
your
to
neck
Bridge
of
Climb?
400 mils yesterday.
Yeah, I went up.
What's it doing today?
Stage.
Didn't find that today.
So it's filled up all the reservoirs and water catchments.
Well, I mean, I think the first couple of days,
Really?
Friday
You
and Saturday would
turned
have
60.
done
Oh, congratulations. 66.
half the gravel from my drives scattered all down the street.
Water's hot, guys.
Ruts on the driveway now, which I've got to fix before I sensibly drive on it comfortably.
Yeah.
But small price to pay. I'm quite
I
happy
don't
with
think that
having
they
that
wanted to move it further, but I don't
after
think
about
they
6
got
months of no.
So
It's really what
67.
we need. I mean,
It's better than the French who had riots because they wanted to change it from 62 to get the
especially if you're
pension.
not there, it is.
Oh, well, we
Okay.
But our bushfire plan says don't pay if it threatens. Too old to race around and try and protect.
No, see, you got
Make sure the insurance is up to date.
100.
Yeah, they changed. So that's the earlier one. That's the later one. That's the earlier one again.
Yeah, but I just think odd that they changed the spelling of 100. The U.
Well, unless because this is 500, 500, and this is 100. So maybe that's a single. That's a triple.
No.
Yeah, I just answered when you had I thought I might have been seeing things.
No, spelling.
So 100.
Yeah, or one
rad.
rad.
100 rad.
100, yeah, maybe it does.
Maybe
It changes,
this-
it becomes multiple.
Colin was saying he had nothing there that was
You won't tell us.
in the
I mean, see it.
all the books and things that he had there, because he had a library there, but he said they were all duplicates.
No, fair.
I was saying to the boys, coming in today,
Something to do with the.
These are all the ones I've got. So, I'm only missing one,
what do you
but
do?
that's the other one. These early ones.
It's going to take you 2 years or
I
or do you say to them,
had the opportunity to buy
take the money and
this one.
buy another place that's still around? You know, go and look for somewhere else.
Really good picture. So I really want that figure.
You know, solid
It was like
citizens.
€2,500.
And they're all very getting together to keep
Beautiful.
late control.
What year would that be?
Auction, because I was there showing the box.
1939.
Oh, right.
Sandy was saying that they had a bit of
Would
a
have been nice, but couldn't stretch the
Can't have everything.
couldn't stretch
they
the funds that
had
far.
a bougainvillea that was growing over the back
Everything
shop.
else I just shared off.
Yes, thank you.
And when they went there last time, half of it had been packed away.
Most of mine is just, oh, I like the look of that.
She wasn't too
Not
pleased.
related. signatures or issues.
No, lithium wires.
Yeah, there's
Way
always that.
to do it.
Yeah, oh, I suppose you should have a system.
Look, I saw another image of a controller on the TV today. Well, they've got those life in villages.
So you're heavily into Russian notes, are you?
Oh, I do like the Russian stuff here, but not the provisional stuff. There's just
Too much of it?
too much of it. Yeah, there's just no way of collecting it all. It's and it's a pity because some of that stuff is really really nice. But it's like kind of like too stuff.
It's too high.
Ah, too high.